Hi everyone. I'm back in here today to welcome and talk to a very good friend of mine. Her name is Kerry, who has been practicing yoga for more than 20 years. Hi Kerry, welcome.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Excellent. Um, so can you tell us, how did you get into the practice? So young as well.
Yes, well, I was in my early 20s, and as many of us are at that age and stage, I was very emotional, felt everything strongly. And I actually just read in a magazine that yoga was good for calming down the emotions of Pisces, which I am. I'm a Pisces. So I read it in a horoscope, and I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
So at that stage, there was the yellow pages. That's how we found things. So I looked up a yoga teacher, and it was that long ago. I looked up a yoga teacher in the yellow pages and found one in my area and went to a class, and she landed up being my mentor for the next
Wow.
12 years. She was just absolutely amazing and incredible.
Right.
So yeah, and I loved it from the very first class I went to. I was like, oh my goodness,
Wow.
this is
And it's
like I
funny
found
how
my thing.
Wow. Funny how things just, she kind of came into your path and she was the right person, right? And you just
Yeah,
loved it.
yeah, exactly. I got very lucky
Yeah.
that the first teacher I found was such an incredible teacher and the right one for me.
Excellent. So now, besides practicing, obviously for yourself, you teach as well, right?
Yes, so I've been teaching for 18 years.
Wow. Impressive.
Yeah, yeah, and I love it. It's such an absolute joy. I think that for me, teaching is really just about sharing the joy that yoga brings to me. That's how I feel. It's like, I love yoga. It works. It's wonderful. Come join me in
Right.
doing the practice.
Yeah. Excellent. And so I think most people would probably think, oh, it's good to make you flexible or, the physical movement, but I'm sure there's a whole lot more, to the benefits that you get. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, thank you for asking. Because you are so right that there's so much more to it than just what we get physically. Obviously, physically, it is wonderful for us to keep us mobile and to keep our body balanced and healthy. But really, yoga works on all aspects of ourselves. So it works on us mentally,
Right.
emotionally, spiritually, and energetically.
Right.
And when you first start the practice, we often just go to it for that physical
Yeah.
hit. But what we start to notice after we have been practicing for a while and we're doing it consistently is that there's these subtle changes in other areas of our lives. So we become less reactive.
Okay.
Um, we appreciate our body from rather how it looks. So we move away from that obsession with how we look, but
Right.
rather, how incredible our bodies are for what they do for us every
Yes.
single day.
True.
We become more grounded, we become calmer, and we get to know ourselves better. And it's hard to explain how this really happens. It's something you just have to experience for yourself.
Right.
But the shifts are actually very profound and
Mhm.
life changing for many people. And they just result in us living our lives in a way that's more true to ourselves, that's more balanced, that's more joy-filled.
Right.
And ultimately, the practice actually makes us understand that it makes us understand our own divinity. So it's really actually a deep practice.
Wow. And you're right. I think, quite a few people are, not if I can call superficial, but you kind of look to the outside, right, to feel good about yourself. And we kind of learn over time that it's really, you need to go inside. And it helps, obviously, with that whole mind shift. And
Yeah.
especially with what's happening now with COVID and all this chaos going on, it's good to kind of come back to yourself, right, and just be
Yeah.
still and look
Yeah.
introspectively. Lovely.
Absolutely. And the more practices we have that support us in that, the
Yes.
better. So
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Great. And so do you, any final thoughts, or sorry, no, what I did want to ask is, how often should you practice you know, to kind of see benefits?
That's a great question. We are time poor as a society,
Yeah.
and so it can be hard to commit to a regular practice. What I would say is, at the very least, to try get into a class where the space is held for you at least once a week. If
Okay.
you're consistent with that weekly practice, you will start to see benefits. But
Okay.
then, of course, like anything in life, the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. If you can get into a class a couple of times a week, that will help.
Right.
And then also you can practice at home. Yoga doesn't need to be an hour on your mat. It can be 10 minutes of gentle movement and breath work. It can be a meditation practice. It can be, there's a whole variety of things you can do every day for yourself at home to keep you connected to the practice.
Right.
But in studio, once a week consistently is going to set you up well.
Well, that's excellent to know, actually, because, you know, I know for myself, I feel, oh my gosh, I need to be going 5-6 times, otherwise not at all. So that's not true at all.
No, it's the consistency, I'd say, that's more important. So going 3 times a week for a month and then taking a month off isn't going to be as beneficial as once a week. Just showing up on your mat, showing up for yourself, you will start to notice those changes.
Right. Lovely. Well, Kerry, thank you so much for talking to me today and putting more information out there about yoga and how helpful it can be. Any final thoughts or tips for our community?
What I would say is that not everybody gets as lucky as I did with finding that first amazing teacher when, you know, my first go. So what I would say is, if you try a class and it's not for you, try another one and try another one. My advice is shop around. There's a lot of different styles and there's a lot of different teachers. And I do really believe there's the right style for everybody.
Okay. Well, thank you. And I look forward to, Kerry's going to do a video of square breathing. So I look forward to posting that. Thank you, Kerry.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Bye.